Most people spend their entire lives building comfort and are shattered the moment reality disagrees. Not because they lacked strength, but because they never trained for adversity before it arrived. There is one specific mistake, quiet and invisible, that keeps the mind permanently unprepared. By the end, I'll reveal the precise ancient technique Seneca used each morning to armor his soul against whatever the day intended to destroy. We'll cover 3 things. First, why the modern mind is structurally allergic to imagining failure. Second, the Stoic philosophy that dismantles that allergy at its root. And finally, a concrete daily practice that rewires your inner response to misfortune. But the real revelation comes at the end. A morning ritual so precise, so counterintuitive, it survived 20 centuries for a reason. Here is the wound most people refuse to examine. We live in an age engineered for optimism. Every notification, every algorithm, every self-help slogan is designed to push the mind toward best-case scenarios. And slowly, without noticing, we lose the psychological muscle for confronting what could go wrong. We stop rehearsing loss. We stop imagining collapse. And in doing so, we become catastrophically fragile. The consequences are not subtle. When illness arrives, when careers collapse, when relationships fracture, people don't just suffer the event itself. They suffer the shock of it. They suffer because reality contradicted the story they were silently rehearsing. Epictetus, born into slavery in Hierapolis around 50 AD, understood this with ruthless clarity. He wrote, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. The unprepared judgment shatters first." The specific mistake is this: we confuse optimism with strength. We believe that imagining the worst is pessimism, weakness, a kind of self-betrayal. So we refuse. We suppress the uncomfortable image. We look away from the difficult possibility. And that refusal, that turning away, is precisely what leaves the mind naked when the storm arrives. Optimism without preparation is not hope. It is denial wearing hope's clothing. But here is where the story takes an unexpected turn. The Stoics did not counsel despair. They did not build a philosophy of misery or withdrawal. What they discovered, and what modern psychology is only beginning to confirm, is that deliberately imagining the worst does not weaken the spirit. It fortifies it. This distinction is everything. And the Stoics gave this practice a name, precise enough to carve into stone. Premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Seneca, writing in Rome around 63 AD, described it with characteristic directness. Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The practice was not about catastrophizing. It was about stripping adversity of its most dangerous weapon, surprise. A mind that has already met disaster is not destroyed by disaster. Marcus Aurelius practiced this with systematic precision. Each morning, in his campaign tent along the Danube River, he wrote what we now call the Meditations, private notes, never meant for publication. Entry after entry rehearses difficulty, ingratitude from allies, the frustration of foolish men, physical pain, political betrayal, He was not complaining. He was training. He was preloading his hegemonicon, his ruling faculty, with the image of adversity, so that the real thing found him already standing.
And if this is stirring something in you, subscribe. What comes next will fundamentally change how you begin each morning. The deeper teaching inside premeditatio malorum is not the imagining itself. It is what the imagining forces you to confront: the dichotomy of control. Epictetus built his entire philosophy on this axis. Some things are within our power: judgment, desire, response. Everything else is not. Premeditatio malorum trains you to feel that boundary in your bones, not merely understand it intellectually.
Musonius Rufus, the Roman Stoic teacher who trained Epictetus himself, went further. He argued that philosophical training was meaningless without physical and mental stress. He taught his students in the open air, in difficult weather, deliberately introducing hardship into their days. Apatheia, not indifference to life, but freedom from being enslaved by passion, was not a gift. It was forged. It required repeated encounters with discomfort, chosen deliberately, before discomfort chose you involuntarily.
Wait, what comes next is what few truly understand about this practice. Most people who encounter premeditatio malorum use it wrong. They imagine the worst, feel the fear, and stop there, using the discomfort as evidence that the practice itself is harmful. But the Stoic method does not end at the imagined catastrophe. It moves through it. The critical second step is asking, what virtue can I exercise if this arrives? Courage, temperance, justice, the logos within you, responding. Tomorrow morning, before the world intrudes, sit in silence for 5 minutes, not to meditate in any generic sense, but to practice prosoche, vigilant attention directed inward. Ask yourself, what could go wrong today? Name it specifically. Then ask, which part of that outcome is within my power? Then ask, what would a person of arete, excellence, virtue, do if it arrived? Write the answer. 3 sentences. That is your armor. That is the Stoic morning.
The practice must be specific, not vague. Do not write, something bad might happen. Write, my project might fail publicly. My health might deteriorate. The person I trust most might disappoint me. Specificity is the mechanism. Vague fear lives in the shadows and grows. Named fear, examined through Stoic reason, loses its power to ambush. Zeno of Citium, founder of the Stoa in Athens around 300 BC, called logos, reason, the divine fire within every rational being. Use it.
In 65 AD, the Emperor Nero ordered Seneca's death. Seneca had been practicing premeditatio malorum for decades, had written about it, had taught it, had lived it. When the soldiers arrived at his villa near Rome, those present recorded that he was calm. Not numb, calm. He turned to his weeping friends and said, "Where are your maxims of philosophy? Where is that reason which we have exercised for so many years against future evils?" He had already lived this moment 10,000 times. The mistake is not ignorance of Stoicism. The mistake is practicing optimism as avoidance rather than earning it through confrontation. Seneca's morning technique, the one promised at the beginning, was this. Upon waking,
He would sit in silence and rehearse 3 specific misfortunes that could arrive that day. Then, for each, he would write 1 line: how a person of virtue responds. Not how to prevent it, how to meet it. That is how he walked into every day, unbreakable.
The mind that has rehearsed suffering does not collapse when suffering arrives. That is not pessimism. That is the highest form of philosophical courage, what the Stoics called the examined life lived in full contact with reality. Now you carry the practice. Use it tomorrow. If this reflection has moved you, subscribe. Tomorrow we go deeper into what Marcus Aurelius wrote in his final meditations before the end. The bell ensures you miss nothing. What adversity have you been refusing to name?